Hello everyone, welcome back to another review. This time we're going to be covering The Dark Knight Rises, the final movie in Nolan's trilogy. Let's waste no time, let's get into this. I'm going to be taking a pros and cons approach to give this movie a fair shake. Let's just do this. So, pro, the cast. The cast is awesome. The cast is great. For the most part, I like a majority of the actors. The returning players, they all do a great job. You know, Christian Bale playing a Batman who's battered, broken, and just past his prime. You know, harkening back to Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. I love it. They all did a great job. Michael Caine as Alfred always does a stellar job, and I like how he's, after all this time, still trying to be that father figure to Bruce and trying to get him out of his, out of his funk, because he's torn. Bruce is just torn. He's beatered. He's mentally and physically he's broken, and Alfred's trying to encourage him again to get back into the real world and get his life together. So I like all that. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. Always a thrill, always a joy, always has those snarky comebacks, that snappy sense of humor. And I also like Alfred. He's also trying to help Bruce get back into the swing of things, because both Alfred and Lucius are trying to set Bruce up with this character called Miranda Tate, who Bruce is in business with because of this fusion project, which is used to give a city unlimited resources. Of course, Bruce is apprehensive to use it because even the slightest mistake can be catastrophic. But she's quite lovely, they say. Speaking of Miranda Tate, Marion Cotillard, who plays Miranda Tate, she does a serviceable job. I think there are a lot of scenes where she comes across as a little wooden in some areas. And yeah, she's okay. She's not horrible. She's watchable, but it's just it's whatever. And Anne Hathaway and we get to Anne Hathaway, Selena Kyle. I think Anne Hathaway was also very serviceable. I'm sorry, I could not buy Anne Hathaway, Selena Kyle. Anne Hathaway, to me, she does not have that sex appeal to her. She's not sexy. She's cute. She's adorable. She's the girl next door. Catwoman, to me, she's not supposed to be the girl next door. She's supposed to be this spunky, seductive, sexy person, sexy girl. And Anne Hathaway comes across as like a high school girl who's trying too hard. So yeah, I didn't buy it at all. Her performance was fine, but for what it was, her performance was fine. But to me, that's how I saw it. So yeah, I could know without it. Tom Hardy as Bane, amazing. I love the look of Bane. I love Tom Hardy's portrayal of Bane. He was menacing. I like the whole circus strongman look. I like how he was able to portray the immense strength that Bane possesses, because Bane is pure strength. I also like the fact that he gave Bane the intelligence that he normally has, because Bane's a very smart guy in the books. And Hardy also has very expressionistic eyes. Like, Hardy's eyes can tell a story, and in this movie, half his face is covered, so all you see is his eyes. But with his eyes, he can convey tons of emotion. Like, you see rage, you see sadness, all within his eyes, because there are some scenes where he doesn't really have a whole lot of dialogue. So a lot of the acting comes from his eyes, and Hardy is just spot on. To me, Hardy gives one of the best performances of this movie. And I like Bane all the way up until the end, which I'll get to. Gary Oldman as Gordon, always fantastic. I like how he's wrestling with the fact that about the lie he and Batman concocted about Harvey Dent and Batman taking a fall for Dent's actions. I like how he's still juggling with that, and it really gives his character a lot of dimension and some gray areas too. Joseph Gordon-Levitt as John Blake. I like it a lot. Why did this thing call him Tim Drake? Since Tim Drake and John Blake have the same sound to it, just call him Tim Drake. Throw fans a bone, please. Anyway, I like the performance anyway. Again, like Hardy, JGL is one of my favorite actors working right now. And the man, JGL, brought a lot of energy to the role of John Blake. He was very likable as John Blake. There are a lot of scenes where he does a lot of detective work, and he's good. He's like really good. So yeah, JGL, John Blake, one of the highlights for me, along with Tom Hardy. And then you have like these other secondary characters which ultimately are meaningless. You know, you have Ben Mendelsohn as John Daggett. Didn't mean much, and that's pretty much it for the cast. Production looks great. Like the previous two movies, Nolan knows how to shoot a movie. The man has a good visual eye. I like the use of practical effects. I like the use of CGI. Nolan's more of a practical man than a CGI man, and it clearly shows. That opening sequence with the plane was awesome, and a lot of the fight scenes is also awesome. And I like how Nolan, harkened back to Dark Knight with a lot of scenes. Like there's this one scene where Batman's in the tunnel, and you get like this lighting strobe effect where like the guns are shooting, and you see and it goes from like dark to light, dark to light, dark to light, and you see Batman moving in different ways, and that's a clear homage to the Dark Knight Returns, which I love. So yeah, the production is great. And again, speaking of comic book influences, this movie is influenced by 3 Batman books: Dark Knight Returns, No Man's Land, and Nightfall. And for the most part, they're able to, serviceably mesh all 3 stories together. So that's all fine and good. And like I mentioned, the action scenes in this movie are done fairly well. The opening prologue with Bane kidnapping the scientists, and how most of that was done with practical effects, with some CG, flawless. Loved it a lot. When Bruce Wayne goes back into the Batsuit, and he has a lot of cool scenes too as Batman. I love that too. I love the first fight that he and Bane have in the sewers. And to me, it felt so real, felt so raw, it felt so gritty and grungy, and Bane just beat the fucking piss out of Batman, breaking his back. I love that scene. Best scene in the whole movie is that first initial fight between Batman and Bane. And because it really showcased just how powerful Bane is. And of course, I love the whole and I love the whole image of Bane breaking Batman's back. So good, so good, so good, so good. Even if the rest of the movie sucked, that one scene alone we'll get a high grade for, because I just love the way it was directed and love the way it was acted and shot. Awesome. And I also like the fact that there was no music playing in that scene, which even intensified it even more. That there was zero music until the end. Loved it. I love it. Sorry, I can't praise that scene anymore. And of course, the whole climax, which is just like insanity. The cops, got the cops and the good people of Gotham taking on Bane's army and the scum of Gotham in a fucking Pier 6 brawl. Loved it. Done very well. And of course, to get the whole chase of because we find out that Miranda Tate was Talia al Ghul, using Miranda Tate as a ruse, harkening back to her father and how he used the Ducard alias as a ruse. We find out that she's trying that her and Bane are working together to bring Ra's al Ghul's vision of destroying Gotham to life and shit like that. Hence why they have a fusion bomb. And I like the whole chase that Batman has in the Batwing against Talia in the truck. So yeah, that's all fine and good. So yeah, those are my pros. Let's get to my cons real quick. Okay, the characters: Bane and Talia and Daggett. Now, I praised Bane earlier, and I stand by it. Hate how he plays second fiddle, and he dies. And he dies in the most cheapest way. Catwoman shoots a fucking missile at him. Lame. Anticlimactic and lame. Throughout the entire movie, you built this man up as a fucking brute monster of fucking irresistible force. I'm thinking, all right, when he and Batman have the rematch, Batman's gonna get the better of him and destroy him. He's gonna get him. But no, he dies like a bitch. And not only that, we find out that he's just a fucking glorified henchman for Talia. How is it so hard to get Bane right in movies? Why? You had him. You had it, and then you lose it. How is that possible? I'll never get it. To this day, I still have not had the Bane portrayal I've always wanted. I came close with this, but then the demise was off. Stupid. And the whole reveal of Miranda Tate being Talia the whole time, I'll always be on and off to that. To me, it comes out of left field. And the whole thing with Daggett, I think you could have easily combined Daggett's character with Talia's character, and just leave it at that, and let's leave it as that, because Daggett serves no purpose because he doesn't, because his purpose is nothing. That's it. Daggett to me is a useless fucking character. His whole thing, his whole plot is that he has something that Selena wants, but he just did it to trick her or some shit like that. You could have easily done that with Talia. Because to me, Daggett serves no purpose. You take him out of the movie, it's no different than, it's still the same movie, my opinion. Or if anything, you could have had like Daggett's henchmen, work for Talia, and Talia could use the whole Daggett name as just like a front for what she was really doing, and have the henchman portrayal, and have Ben Mendelsohn just be like a decoy Daggett. Like Daggett's not a real person; he's just a decoy that Talia is using as a way to throw off people. They didn't do that. I think that would have made the movie a little bit better, but whatever. This movie has a lot of gaping plot holes, a lot of plot conveniences. It could take you out of the movie if depending on who you are, it cannot take you out of the movie. To me, I was questioning a lot of things, and I was like, I'll let it slide. But it is, it is prevalent and in your face as to how plot holy this movie really is when you watch it. Missed opportunities. To me, the biggest missed opportunity is they didn't go all the way with the whole no man's land concept, which I think they should have done. Because I think it's like, once Gotham became a no man's land, I would have loved to have seen the street politics. I like to have seen how like the different sections of Gotham's being run by different people and different gangs would have looked. We didn't get that. Maybe it could have been too much story, or maybe if you would have cut some of the story out and have that be a bulk of the story, I think this movie would have been a whole lot better and much more interesting where the no man's land street politics came into play. And to go back to a positive, now we're going to talk about a little bit of the story. I like the fact how Dent is used in this movie. His actions aren't ignored; they're expanded upon. They made this thing called the Dent Act, which allows them to lock up all the major criminals, particularly the mob. And I like how Bane reveals the real truth about Dent, which is what further lights fire to this whole Gotham revolution, where the poor people take down the rich people. So I like all that. I think all that was pretty cool. Even though you find out that when you watch the movie, you're just thinking, was it really necessary since you were going to blow the whole thing up anyway? Okay. So those are my overall thoughts on Dark Knight Rises. At the end of the day, I still like this movie a lot, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I like it better than The Dark Knight. Of course, this movie had a lot more things that annoyed me, but at the same time, I like the ending of Dark Knight Rises, how it has a definitive end for Bruce Wayne, but it leaves it open for John Blake to take over in his footsteps. To me, it's a very satisfying ending. And to me, it plays on the whole thing of Batman being like this, this symbol of inspiration, and how the man will die, but a symbol never dies. And I like how that whole thing played in throughout the course of all three movies, and was tied up nicely with this. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It was fine. So yes, 8 out of 10. If you don't like it, a lot of people don't like it. I actually do like it, and I actually think that the Nolan Batman trilogy is actually one of the stronger trilogies to have been produced. Well, that's all I got to say about that. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll check you back next time.